Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Ward Powell. And if you're a dentist looking to crack the code on how to grow your practice and dominate in this space, then stick around. You're in the right place. Every week, we're sitting down with some amazing dentists who are doing incredible things in their businesses. We're talking about everything from how they keep their teams loyal and dedicated to how they stay ahead of the game in this crazy, fast-changing industry. You'll hear about hacks like using virtual assistants to free up your time, strategies to make more sales with less effort, and even mind-blowing stories about patents and inventions that are changing the industry as we know it. And it's not just about growing your practice, it's also about finding out what works from a clinical perspective. Whether you're just starting or you're ready to scale to the next level, there's something here for you. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. Good afternoon, Dr. Charles Moser. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us at the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. We're happy to have you and looking forward to hearing some of the wonderful information you have to share with the audience. And as we always ask in the very beginning to all of the guests we have on this show or podcast, what got you involved in dentistry in the first place?
Well, that's probably the easiest question you'll ask me today. It was real easy. When I was 13 years old, my mother told me to be a dentist. That was it. Ta-da, end of story. uh,
Wow.
she told me that, this is quite some time ago because I've been doing this for a minute, as they say. She told me there's no such thing as an emergency. You get Wednesdays off to play golf, and if you ever want to take a vacation, you just walk up to your book and you just X out the days that you're not going to be there. And that was the life of a dentist. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty good. So off I went.
Oh, wow.
It was the only thing I ever wanted to do. The only thing I ever wanted to do since I was 13.
Oh my goodness. So mom planted the seed and obviously she was pretty, you know, she's a taskmaster.
She was an influential person. There's no doubt
Right.
about it. Yeah.
You sounds like it. Sounds like it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing like having a person, a mentor, parent, someone that can actually give you, some ideas as to what you want. Most youngsters don't have that. I mean, whether
Yeah.
it's a counselor or, at the school, anybody that can give you, parent that can give you that information to kind of like, okay, all right, I understand you. Let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it worked out. I was pretty good with my hands, and it seemed to fit my mentality pretty well. I kind of paid attention to details, um, except cleaning my room, of course, but yeah, it fit pretty well. And then, of course, I had the good fortune of getting involved in a program where I was actually able to work in a dentist office when I was in high school. And so got to see it actually done and did some dental assisting, kind of when they could throw me in there, and understood what kind of the a dental office looked like and how it functioned. I was like, okay, so that didn't turn me off. It kept turning me on to it. So I just kept going forward for it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, how long did you stay in the dentist industry? Because I know you had to make a pivot, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so after a very long and winding road, because I actually flunked out of college my first time around, which, for all practical purposes, destroyed the dream for a while. But it's hard to keep a good man down type of thing. So you just come fighting back with even more intensity. And dental school, graduated from San Antonio, 1990, residency 1991, started practicing under some amazing mentors, some guys that I had known growing up, just fantastic clinicians. And they bought my first practice in 1994 in downtown Houston. Ultimately, had three locations, And then in 2006, the universe said, let's throw him another curveball, and had a crush injury to my practicing hand, which over the course of about a year and a half finally made it impossible for me to do the type of fine detail cosmetic dentistry that I was doing. And so I exited private practice. I sold my three practices that I had and went to work for an emerging group practice here in Houston, Texas. In 2009, when I started with them, they were at 25 locations, and then we grew to close to 100 locations. I was a dental director, so I oversaw 16 locations, had about, I don't know, several hundred associates come through or so in the 8 years that I was there. So got to mentor and teach and take my love for high quality dentistry into a Medicaid environment, actually, which might seem like a conflict, but it was not. We went through three exits. I went through two. We sold to a private equity group in 2009. Really, before the letters DSO were even put together, we kind of put them together and we sold to a private equity group, and it was great. We had an amazing experience with this group. We formed a C-suite and all those things that some people might think are terrible about dentistry, about bringing corporations into healthcare. It worked out quite nicely for us. We were able to keep each other at arm's length and keep each other very, very honest. They pushed on us, we pushed on them. They never got involved in clinical dentistry. We never got involved in telling them what type of pencils to buy. And things went very, very well. And then they sold us again in 2016, 17, something like that, to another group that did not work so well, which is when a lot of people exited, the culture changed and that kind of thing. And then I had a great run with the Dental Entrepreneur Organization, which is where I became an executive business coach, leadership coach, got trained in leadership through a John Maxwell program, which was a fantastic program. And then just really found a love for leadership and building teams. And then recently we've opened up this new venture called the Dental Science Alliance, which is a really an extremely new type of coaching platform specifically designed for the small, even individual dentist or mid-sized group. Because while I am not a DSO hater at all, I'm not here to tell you that they're evil, because they're not. I do believe that the smaller dentist who is still at the chair 3 days, 4 days a week with their hair on fire needs some help, and they need some help that the large DSOs already have. So we have 21 amazing coaches that, for a very reasonable fee of $600 a month, a clinician can have access to all of those coaches. Again, kind of leveling things up, because the why is we need these people, we need these men and women on the street corners taking care of their communities. And that's what that's the service we're here to provide for.
So then okay. So let's deal with some of those numbers. Can you kind of share why you're so why the numbers well, it sounds like the numbers kind of resonated with you in order to keep the dentist, the general dentist, the GPs, any dentist for that matter, in the clinic or in the community. What would those numbers look? Do you have any stats on that?
Well, so I mean, the reason that if you were talking about my particular avatar of that, 12 to 15 million in revenue, and again, solo practitioners are also in our group, but by the time you kind of crest that 15 million in revenue, you might have 20 locations. You're starting to build out the people that we provide. You're starting to have your own HR department. You're starting to have your own marketing department. You're starting to have your own CFO. You're starting to have your own CMO. So, those are the things that we're providing for the people that can't afford to have that C-suite built out, or these directors of these types of projects and departments. So in a way, we kind of provide a fractional type of service in all of these areas that, again, people can come in and get coaching on, for $600 a month. And just one final plug: no long-term contracts. We go month to month. If we don't build your trust and earn your business every month, then we don't deserve it. So, but really, again, it's all designed to keep these smaller groups and single location dentists practicing dentistry because we all went to dental school to take care of people. I mean, we really did, and we come out and it's just really hard. It's the hardest job that there is on the face of the earth. And compensation is good when you run a good business, but it'll kill you when you don't. And we just want to keep these people living their dream. When they signed up to go to dental school, I want to keep them living the dream. When somebody said to me, "What does success look for you, like Charles?" And I said, when somebody comes up to me and says, "I'm still practicing dentistry because of the help that your organization gave me," then I'm good. I'm totally good.
Yes, yes. So now I'm wondering, like, so you want to keep the community thriving. Um, you want to make sure that the business for dentists are doing what they need to do to help the community. So, I mean, like, how would you vet an organization like yours? I mean, how does a dentist approach the vetting process? Could you help us with understanding?
So you mean to come in to find out if we're the right group for them, if we're the
Yes,
right
yes,
coach for them? Oh, that's a
absolutely.
really great question. So first of all, I would go to our website, dentalsciencealliance.com, and look and see what coaches we have available. They're all there on the website. And then I would start going to their own websites of those coaches, and start looking at the reviews for those people. Then I would start talking to anybody wants to talk to anybody that I've coached, or assisted throughout the way. I'll give you 25 names, and if that doesn't if you don't get the information you need from that, and finally, look, try it for $600 a month. How bad can it be? You can actually get in 1 month and get out the next month if we don't provide you a service. But we have 100% retention right now. Nobody's left us. No client has left us. No coach has left us.
Wow.
We have nothing but 5-star reviews. And again, we don't want your business uh, if we don't move the needle for you. Now,
I'm sorry.
I'll pivot this conversation a little bit, Ward, because I know that your love is the wealthy dentist. Um, let's talk about that a little bit and what that means, because I thought for sure when I got out of dental school I was going to make $500,000 a year just for waking up, just for waking up, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yes.
But I had a mentor that I went to work for as an associate, and the first question he asked me was, "Charles, how much is enough?"
Ooh,
And
that's
I hadn't cut a single crown, and this man was asking me how much is enough. And I said, "Well, I don't know. I have no clue how much is enough." And he said, "Well, until you figure out what that number is, you'll be chasing a number that you have no idea what it is."
that is so true.
So I think along the lines of what you do, my first question when I start talking to young dentists is they need to figure out how much is enough,
Mm,
or at least start thinking about the question, at least wake up thinking about the question.
yeah,
Because if not, you start chasing a dartboard that's not even on a wall anywhere.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're going to help them lead them along the way. Are there like any specific pieces? I mean, aside from, referrals and testimonials and things of that nature, um, are there any specific areas? And I know this is like a question that has so many answers. So,
Sure.
but what would you say would be maybe the five top ideas that a dentist want to have in their head or in their mind to help them along the way with the service that you guys offer?
Yeah, I'd ask them to sit down in a quiet place for 10 minutes. You don't need much more time, but it doesn't need to be a quiet place. And ask yourself, where's the pain coming from right now?
Mm.
Where's the pain coming from? Follow, and look backwards, chase the pain a little bit. Well, it might start off with, I don't have enough money, right? That's kind of an easy, low-hanging place to say the pain is that I don't have enough money. Well, is that because you're not producing enough money or you're not collecting enough money?
Mm.
Because if you're not producing enough money, that might be a marketing problem. You don't have enough new patients, or you might have enough new patients, but your treatment planning isn't very good. Or your treatment planning is good enough, but you're not getting people to do the treatment. Or they come in one time and they never come back. You have a retention problem. Or if you're producing enough, but you're not collecting enough, well, then you have a collections problem.
Yeah.
And again, we have coaches for all of that. We can coach you through the marketing, we can coach you through the collections. But the bigger one, I mean, if you want to really go high level here, the question is are you a leader that people want to follow?
Mm.
Because if you're not a leader that people want to follow, then the best you can hope for is to be a good manager. And managers nowadays are not being very successful with today's human capital that's available.
Mm.
Managing Gen Zs and managing the Gen X's and all those other people, they don't like being managed. They do like to be led, and they like to be empowered, and they like to be given autonomy. Money actually is third on the list for those people. They want a culture where they can come in and thrive. They want to be autonomous and have their ideas heard, and then they want to be paid fairly. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you the person that they want to be led by? Meaning, are you the first person in the office and the last person to lead? Do you use the two ears on the side of your head more than you use the mouth in front of your face? Are you listening actively, or are you listening to respond to tell people what you know about what they're telling you, which you don't know what they're talking about,
Mm.
but you got to interrupt them to tell them how much you know about what they're trying to tell you.
Wow.
So, and some of these things people don't even know that they don't know, right? You've heard that so many times. I don't even know what I don't know. But again, I think you just have to look for the pain. Where's the pain coming from? If the pain is coming from your arms hurt because your wheelbarrow is so full of cash that you can't get it all to the bank at one time, well, then you don't need us, you know. But if your pain is one of those other things, and you're wondering, why did I get into this business and how do I get out of it? Then it's too complicated a business nowadays to do it by yourself.
Uh,
Tom Brady had how many coaches?
Quite a few.
And he's the GOAT, right? And so some dentist that's 4 years out of dental school thinks that they can do this by themselves. It's not happening. So get help. I don't care who buy. I don't
Mhm.
care who buy. Find a mentor, find a coach, find someone that can help you.
Yeah, hence the word team. I mean, like
Yeah.
team as opposed to employee, you know. I hear team more now than I've ever heard because before it was all, I'm the boss here. You know,
Yeah.
you listen to me, you follow me, even though like you said, the leadership qualities aren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, it's the world is what it is, and we're not gonna go back to 1960. I mean, social media is social media. Smartphones are what they are, and we really have to find people that can help us and remind us that what you see on your computer screen is fiction. It's
Mm,
not real. It's not reality.
that's
That's a made for TV movie that you're watching.
right.
You know, that
I
is not.
have it short, right?
It was hard enough to not be a keep up with the Jones person before the internet came out.
Hmm.
And now with everybody
So
in
still,
TikTok and Instagram and showing you the life they're leading,
mm,
and your life doesn't look like that, it,
yeah,
it can be a challenge.
yeah.
And so I just want everybody, kind of remember, hey, that's fiction out there. Um, and there's a great story, to kind of take heed to, and that is a woman went to her spiritual leader one day and said, my life is terrible. I've got so many problems. And the spiritual leader said, and I'll try to make it short, said, you put all those problems in a bag and you bring them to the campfire tonight. And so she shows up at the campfire with her bag of problems, and there's 10 other people around the campfire with a bag in front of them. And the spiritual leader says, I want all y'all to empty out your bags in front of you. Empty all those problems, all those challenges, all those things that are causing you grief. You go ahead and empty them all out right in front of you. And after they did that, he said, now everybody get up and walk around and take a look. And they did. And he said, now, pick the bag that you want. And they all went back to their own bag. Because the problems that you have are the problems that you have and the problems that you have. And everybody else has got problems too. Don't think they don't. So,
Right.
you got your problems, you got your challenges, you got your issues, and 2024, 25 is not going to make it any easier to handle on your own. So again, my best advice to anybody is get a mentor, get a coach, get a confidant, get a therapist, whatever it is, someone that can talk you off the ledge every once in a while and say, hey, remember, your bag's still better than everybody else's bag.
Absolutely. Yeah, just move with gratitude
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. So as you move through your career, yes, what is this? Third part of your career. Well, yes,
Oof.
so many different areas that you worked. So now that you're in this one, as a coach, what is your main focus? Because you named several different types of coaches. What is your main scope?
Yeah, I'm mostly where I love, when I'm in my zone of genius is when I'm working with someone who's humble, hungry, and eager to learn how to be a better leader, to learn how to communicate better. There's a couple of phrases that I love to teach by, and one is that we get what we tolerate.
Oh,
And
wow.
if the other is that you have to ask yourself every day the question, what responsibility did I have in the outcome that I got?
Mm.
And so when you kind of just wake up every morning and you look at your bag of problems, right, that I was just talking about earlier, you have to ask yourself, how many times have I gotten that problem? How many times has this patient canceled on me? Well, as long as you keep tolerating it, they'll keep doing it.
True.
Because you get what you tolerate. How many times has your dental assistant come in late and you're afraid to talk to them about it because you don't want them to quit, right? Well, as long as you keep tolerating it, you'll keep getting it. And then when you put that other question on the other side of it, when you say, what responsibility did I play in the outcome I got? Well, by ignoring it, by tolerating it, you have a responsibility in that outcome. You just continue to allow that person to engage in that bad behavior, which makes you an accomplice, by the way. I mean, right? And so don't get mad at them.
Right.
Don't get mad at them for coming in late because you keep allowing it. So I think those are the things when you get the light bulb to actually kind of go on over somebody's head. And when they start to realize, holy crap, there's not an outcome out there that I didn't have some responsibility in, especially if you're the leader of the organization. And the other thing that I would really like people to understand is that fear is a terrible place to lead from. It's an impossible place to lead. You become the follower and they're the leaders. The tail is wagging the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people inherently, most people that are not sociopaths and psychopaths want structure. They want guardrails
Mm-hmm.
and they want you to tell them, hey, we're open from 8 to 5. You're expected to be here at 7:40 so that we can huddle, so that we can be prepared, so that our day will run smoothly. We can do amazing dentistry in a comfortable professional setting. We can do a dentistry that's appropriate. We can get paid for it, and we can go home on time. How does that sound? Does that sound just horrible? You know, you're working inside in air conditioning and heating. I'm not asking you to dig ditches or get up on the roof. It's just not that bad. Yeah, people are tough sometimes. Go figure. But you get what you tolerate. And you have to ask yourself every day, what responsibility did I play in the outcome that I got? And I'll tell you what, you wake up with those two questions on your mind every day, you're gonna find some gaps. You're gonna find some opportunity
Mhm. Mhm.
for sure.
And a lot of it. That's such a reality check. That's great. I mean, I mean, sounds like you got a lot of your mom in you.
Well, yeah, that's a compliment. I'll take that as a
Right.
compliment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about your family.
Well, so uh, I grew up in a great family. I have, the nuclear family, mother, father, married forever, two older sisters, great dynamic. We fought a lot, just like we're supposed to. Everybody played their role. Um, I was orphaned maybe a little too early. I lost both my parents, and
Oh,
I've been married to the same wonderful person, beautiful bride for 37 years.
wow.
I've got two amazing children. I cannot tell you how blessed I am to have two fantastic children that I don't worry about because they've got a good head on their shoulders. They're well educated. They know right from wrong. And they teach me every day too. I
That's
mean, they teach me every day.
that's awesome.
Uh, so yeah, just, and again, I'm on this podcast called The Wealthy Dentist, and I'm not so sure that I'm not a bit of an imposter. I don't know if I'm wealthy or not, but I will tell you this. I did learn a long time ago that rich is not the man who has the most, yet the man who needs the least.
Wow.
So, so,
Absolutely.
you
That is
know,
so
so
true.
when you start to realize, hey, I think I got most of the things I really need, the rest of this stuff is just kind of extra that maybe I need or don't need.
Right?
And when you start to recognize that I don't need that much, then maybe I am rich. So stop trying to keep up with the Joneses and all that other and social media, because that will destroy you. It will destroy you. Yeah.
Spoken like a true wise guy.
Well, I'll tell you. So you want to hear a good story? I'll tell you.
Sure, sure.
Here's a money story for you. So I'm hub deep in practice. We're killing it. I mean, I did cosmetics. I was really good at what I did because of the great mentors and coaches that I had, because of the expectations that they set on me, and because they would not tolerate anything other than excellence from me, or at least striving to be excellent. Um, but I was a lousy businessman, like most dentists are. And so I hired a consultant who was a friend of mine, and she was an excellent consultant. And she comes into my office one day and she says, Dr. Moser, there's a vendor on the telephone that is telling me that you owe them for the last 4 months. You haven't paid them in 4 months. She said, that can't be right, can it? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm sure that's right. Yeah. And she says, wait, she said, you haven't paid them in 4 months? And I said, if that's what they say, I don't think people are lying. And she said, why not? And I said, because I haven't called until today. And she says, so you don't pay your bills until they call and ask for it. I said, well, it's kind of my model. Yeah. You know, I paid my rent because you got to be able to get through the door. I paid my employees because you want them to come back. The rest of that stuff, I figure when they want it, they'll call me. So that's a true story. I mean, it's just, so she says, are there any more like that? I said, any more? All of them are like that. She says, um, where are your bills? And I said, they're in this. I had a manila folder, just folded over. It was about that thick. Okay. It's about that thick with
My God.
unopened envelopes, from the same companies month after month after month.
Oh my goodness.
She says, these aren't even open. I said, I know. I can't do it. She said, where's your checkbook? Uh, I gave her my checkbook and she looked at it. She said, Dr. Moser, there's $37,000 in here. And I said, now that I did know that. I did know that. Deposits I knew.
Oh my God.
So she said, well, why don't you pay your bills? And I said, because if I did, there would not be $37,000 in there now, would
Okay.
there?
Yeah.
And I could not open an envelope. I couldn't do it.
Ooh, that's too funny.
It stressed me out. So from there on, she started paying the bills. And, just like any other business, sometimes we paid them all. Sometimes we had to float a little bit. Some days are better than others. And then we hired the best. If anybody wants some really good advice, this might be outdated advice, but get yourself a great bookkeeper, not an accountant.
Right.
Get yourself a great bookkeeper who you can pay, a couple $100, $1,000 a month, whatever, to come in and get your bills, write your checks, or pay online, however you want to do it. But let them do it. Don't have your accountant do it because the accountant's going to charge you, $500 an hour to do it. Get yourself a bookkeeper to do it, and then they turn everything over to the accountant, 4 times a year, whatever. Get yourself a P&L. Make sure you get your P&L every month at the same time. Understand how to read a P&L. But if you're like me and you just can't, I mean, literally, it was paralyzing to open those envelopes. I just couldn't do it.
Hmm.
Um, and then I didn't pay my taxes, and at the end of the year, I'd I'd have $25,000 of penalties just to pay, you
Hmm.
know. And then I'd call my accountant and say, why am I being assessed these penalties? And they said, well, you're not paying your quarterly taxes. I said, well, who's telling me to pay the quarterly taxes? And she said, I send you an envelope every quarter. And I go, oh, I know where that envelope's going. It's another unopened envelope. So that's the best. I mean, that just, like I said, other than getting married, that was the second best woman in my life was my bookkeeper.
Oh, wow.
Never had a problem with it from that point on.
That is wonderful. That is
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm sure people are going to take that piece of information and
I
run,
mean,
you know,
brutal.
where it is. Yeah. So,
Second piece of advice I would give people from dad, as a dad here, man, you got to live underneath your means. You know, you've got to be able to put money away for a rainy day, because life will happen.
oh yeah.
As sure as you and I are sitting here, life will happen, and you are going to need that money. And so you have to learn how to live beneath your means,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
do not want to be a professional and be living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-mm.
That's a bad feeling.
Agreed. Indeed. Indeed. So tell me, what do you think that's on the horizon with respect to the dental industry? Anything in particular that you want to touch on?
That's it. Yeah, it's a great question too. And yeah, I mean, I do. I think that I think the DSO bubble, the private equity bubble, all that stuff, I think that bubble has burst.
Mhm.
Now it's not going away, okay? But the dumb money has left the building, you know, and I still think, consolidation DSOs are not going away. It's still going to happen. But I do think that for the people that are out there thinking that their model is to build a group and sell it and cash out and make money, you better know what you're doing now to do that. Because, like I said, this dumb money of 13x for a bunch of ragtag offices that are duct taped together, those days are gone. You know, there is money to be made in dentistry. The margins are good when you run a good, clean business and your systems are consistent. And the way I kind of, if, to kind of put an example out there, if you were buying hamburger franchises, you would, if you did it the smart way, you would buy a bunch of one type of franchise. You would buy 25 McDonald's, but you're not going to buy 5 Burger Kings, 5 Whataburgers, 5 McDonald's, Five Guys, and 5 In-N-Out burgers. To the, to the layperson, it might look like that it's all a hamburger, right?
Mhm.
But to the smart investor, it's 5 different businesses, and you can't you can't run 5 different businesses effectively for a profit. What you can do, you can run 525 McDonald's and make a ton of money because all the systems are the same. And every time you train somebody to make French fries, they can go work in any one of those 25 offices. So that's why I said that the dumb money has left the building. And anybody out there that's being offered a buyout, hey, because there's letters going to everybody right now. We'll buy your practice. We'll buy your practice. We'll buy your practice. Roll you up with our other practices, and now your three practices become part of a group of 100. And when we sell the 100, you're going to make a multiple much greater on the 100 than you would your three. Well, that's true as long as, again, they're all McDonald's. So don't get involved in that situation where you're selling your small group to a bigger group we call them these duct tape DSOs, right? So you might want to just reconsider. And then the other thing, so many of my friends. So I've been out of school for a while now, 30 years, and a lot of my classmates are exiting now, right? And they call me and they're like, "Hey, I've got this deal from this group. I got this deal from this group," and uh, most of my classmates have been extremely successful, extremely successful. And so I tell them, if it's life-changing money, then do it, you know. But if it's not life-changing money, then you need to examine what the pros and the cons are, because you're going to give up a lot of control and you're going to become an employee. And I had one of my friends, he said, they're telling me that if I increase my revenue, that, on the back end, they'll pay me even more. And I said, just listen to what you just said. You own that revenue now. So if you increase your revenue now, whatever multiple you're making currently, you'll make on that revenue too. So no, if it's going to change your life and allow you to get out and you want to do that, then do it. But if it's going to make you an employee and indentured to them to push the rock up the hill for them, then, maybe might not be the right thing to do. Just sell your practice, you know.
That's a great piece of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
And then, so you said, what's on the horizon? I think what's on the horizon is, I think this whole thing will go backwards a little bit. In physics, we're taught everything ultimately returns to its original shape, And I think what you're going to see is a lot of these mid-sized DSOs are going to ultimately, people are just going to get tired of it. It's like, man, running 7 offices is miserable. That we call that the dark tunnel. You're too big to be small, too small to be big. It's not fun. So I think you're going to see a lot of these mid-size groups ultimately sell off to some of the associates, let the associates buy 1 or 2 practices, and it's almost going to be like the NCAA, where we're going to have these super conferences of these big boy DSOs that really know how to run dental offices. It will be corporate dentistry. It doesn't mean that it's not good quality dentistry, but it'll be corporate dentistry. And they'll have the lion's share of the DSO market covered. And then there will still be this space available for the onesies, twosies, threesies type of thing. But I think these 7 to 15, 7 to 20 office size things, man, it's tough to run those.
Yeah, never really thought of it that way. So, where do you think I know you see different spaces, different places, and you do, I'm sure take a lot of observation as you visit these different shops. What do you think it would be the best technology that they could use that's going to be used for future growth, if you will?
Yeah, so we could kind of break that up into 3 different parts, really. Is like, what's mainstream now, which is scanning and milling, right? Scanning scanning the teeth, scanning the arches, scanning a crown prep, and milling it on site. Highly mainstream. I never did, my offices. I was before that. So I think that's pretty mainstream, and I would highly encourage people to, if you're not scanning and milling, to at least investigate the scanning side of it. If you don't have enough volume to need the milling machine, you should at least be scanning and then sending to a laboratory. The quality of the crown that comes back typically is much better than the old way. So scanning and milling, I think, is mainstream. It's already there. I think you move next into the, what's there but not mainstream is 3D printing, right? And the all on X situation that everybody's trying to capitalize on now is how do we provide teeth for people that don't have teeth in a reasonably affordable fashion and a quality fashion. And so I think we've really gotten good, and placing implants is extremely predictable nowadays, which is really good. It's a great service for people. And the technology continues to improve in how do we capture those implants into a scan and then create models and then 3D print teeth that can be attached, either that can be removed or screwed on. That technology, there's a lot of people fighting for that space. A lot of my clients, are kind of trying to figure out, okay, how do I move into that? And then, of course, the area that we got no idea what's going to happen is AI. Um, they do have robots now that can be dental assistants.
Yeah.
And I have seen robots cut crown preps in people's mouths,
Mm.
So I think what you're going to see in 5-10 years is the scanner will scan the tooth, and the computer will already be able to design what the tooth looks after it's prepared for the crown prep, because the computer will be prepping it. So if the computer already knows what the finished crown prep is going to look like, then the crown can be milled at the same time that the tooth is being prepared. All that stuff's going to happen simultaneously now.
Yes.
So the whole appointment's going to be 15 minutes total.
And what was it? What was it before?
It's an hour and a half,
Wow.
2 hours.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to, because the computer's already going to know, well, the finished product after I prep the tooth is going to look exactly like this. Send that data over to the milling machine and let's work together. Talk about collaboration, right? Two computers
Yes.
collaborating.
Yes.
I mean, look, dentistry will never be without the need for human beings. Somebody's got to run the computer, frankly,
Right.
and the robot. Yeah, but I think that's what it's. I think that's what you got now. That's what you've got in 3 to 5 years, and that's what you've got in 10 to 15 years coming.
Yeah, that's an awesome perspective. Appreciate
Yeah,
it. Appreciate it.
yeah.
So then, wow, we covered quite a bit. Is there anything that we've missed that you'd like to express at this point?
Yeah, I think that there's an important dynamic that, again, young clinicians and older ones too, but the young clinicians need to recognize a few different concepts here. One is a lot of different models work. I've referenced McDonald's. McDonald's makes a lot of money. Perry Steakhouse makes a lot of money too,
Mm.
if they're run properly, right? But they're at the opposite end of the food spectrum.
Mhm.
Don't buy a Perry's Steakhouse and try to run it with McDonald's systems, and vice versa. So you need to recognize what it is that you're really trying to do. What is your mission? What is your vision? And what is your model? And then your systems need to be set up appropriately for that. And I think that's a one really important thing that people need to understand. And then the second thing is that doctors, listen to me carefully when I tell you this. Become an expert at what you do. Invest in yourself, invest in your training. And if you want to be McDonald's, fine. If you want to be Perry's, fine. But understand what your focus is and stay in that lane and become an expert at it. And don't get sidetracked by the next bright, shiny object that comes your way. and you will be successful, you know. But it's when people try to be all these different things to all these different people, you can't do it. So be an expert, invest in yourself, and enjoy. Get help, get a coach, get a consultant, get a mentor.
Oh, wow. 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 Is there any information that you'd like to leave the listening public uh, who would like to get in contact with you?
Oh, well, yeah, sure. I mean, of course, again, they can go to www.dentalsciencealliance.com and they can book a call. It's a free call. We also even give one free complimentary coaching session away if someone, kind of wants to try it before they buy it. You can find me anywhere on the internet, frankly, just Google my name. But I think what I'd really like people to know is I'm here to help, whether that means I need to get on a call with you and just, kind of talk you off the ledge a little bit. I had people that did that for me, and I would be honored to pay that forward to someone. And the other thing that they need to know about me is that I don't know everything and I don't have every resource, but I do know people that do. So I can typically, if I can't help you, I can send you to Ward Powell, or I can send you to Ward Powell because between the two of us, we probably know everybody. But you just do not feel as if you have to do it alone, and understand that you can't do it alone. So it is not an embarrassment, or don't be shy about picking up the phone and getting some help.
Well said, Dr. Moser. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I know you're filled with even more information. So, somewhere down the line, we're gonna have to ask you to come back.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate you coming in.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Ward.
All right.